So now that Common Sense has been written and colonists are starting to read it, they're really internalizing the arguments that have been made. The Second Continental Congress decides to have Jefferson, Adams, and Franklin write the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson is given the credit for it. I mean, he's certainly not the only one, but he's kind of given the credit because the other two believe that if it's coming from Jefferson, people will listen to it more. And that's a lot of heat. Not every colonist is okay with declaring freedom yet. They get there, and it's never going to be 100%, but they start getting there later when they start seeing how Britain is reacting to this rebellion in the colonies. So it's a lot of pressure, and they feel like Jefferson is going to be the person who people look up to, they admire him, and so they're hoping that by him taking credit that it will extend into this document. So they have their reasons. When the document is written, it borrows a lot from Paine and Rousseau and Locke, but in the document, it really outlines the reasons for the breakup from Britain, and it is very clear and concise. It states, here is what you did, England. Here is what we as colonists tried to do to tell you, hey, this was not okay, that you shouldn't be acting like this, and here was your response to what we did. So they're very clear. It's your fault, not our fault. You are forcing our hands to do this. You are making us leave you. You are making us break up with you. So they're very clear in it, and when you read the Declaration of Independence, it is noting events that have occurred in the colonies. It's saying you've closed Boston Harbor. We wrote you a letter, you didn't reply. We've told you taxes are too high. We asked for representation. You wouldn't even give us that. So they're making it very clear to understand to Britain that this is not something we have chosen lightly. We have not chosen war. You made us make this decision. Now you got to live with the results. We will fight you, and we're going to win. So it is at this moment, this is the spark for Britain. This is the oh no you didn't moment. They now have no more colonies in the New World here in North America. The American colonists are not colonists anymore. They are Americans, and they are declaring that the colonies are free of Britain, that they are independent, and if you choose not to let them go freely, they're going to fight and they're going to win their independence. So Britain is going to redouble their efforts and they're going to fight the war. Lots of things go on during the war. Most of the war in the beginning is going to be in the northern part of the country. So it's going to be in the New England and the middle areas, particularly in those areas because that seems to be where most of the rebellious acts had been taking place. They're going to focus in the second half of the war on the southern colonies, and that was kind of a shock to a lot of the southern colonies or the southern areas. They normally had a pretty good relationship with Britain. They were the plantation groups, they made all the raw material. They had been making a lot of money for the crown. So it really kind of took them back that England would do some of the things that they are going to do to them, like they were doing to the city of Boston. So as time goes on, the former southern colonies are going to really kind of join up, and they're going to start putting in a lot of effort as well into this war. But at the end of the day, finally, the war ends. So the war goes until 1783, and it really, I told you in the beginning, it's kind of more up here, and then as time goes, the British were going to try and get down here. They're hoping that the Southerners will be loyal to them, the Loyalists. It doesn't work out that way because of the harsh treatment by the British soldiers. And in the end, you're going to start seeing some more of these people becoming patriots or people who are rebelling against England. The final battle happens here in Virginia. So British guy Cornwallis versus our General Washington. It's going to be at the Battle of Yorktown. So if you know where Williamsburg is, it's in that area. So if you know Busch Gardens and stuff like that, it'll be right there. And Washington has Cornwallis pinned by land. The French Navy, who is now our ally, or the French, they're going to come up from behind. And Cornwallis is surrounded in the sea. He's surrounded on land, and he surrenders to General George Washington. Well, he has someone else do it for him. He's too proud to do it. This is a huge defeat for the British. They have lost the colonies. They've lost all of this. And when the war is over, it takes a while for the treaty to actually be signed, but when the treaty does get signed, the American states, the United States, we're going to get all the land from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Mississippi River, but not including the Mississippi River, okay, because that's going to be another person's territory. That's going to be Spain. So we're going to get all this land over here. Originally didn't have this because of that proclamation that had limited the colonists from going westward, but now that's not going to be enforced anymore because there's no British. They're not here anymore. And so the colonists are definitely going to start traveling over there. And you know from your American history, that's going to cause a lot of stuff going on. But when the war is over, the United States is a free and independent country. And now the Second Continental Congress really has the task of creating a new government. And you know, it's kind of like you've been in this abusive relationship with England for so many years. When they create their new government, it's not a government that's going to be perfect. There's going to be some flaws in it. It's like a rebound relationship. They're trying to find out who they are and what they want. And we'll realize that we don't want the Articles of Confederation, and then we'll get rid of it and we will create a U.S. Constitution. But the Articles of Confederation is going to be a loose association of states, and it's going to be loose in the fact that their central government, their federal government, won't have a whole lot of power. It'll really be these individual states who will hold most of the power in this new government. And then eventually we realize that really doesn't work, and we deserve better. And we'll get that when we create the U.S. Constitution.